All right, y'all, welcome back to Dorian's DIY Audio. So here in the last video, we had went over the DSP that I was going to be using. Here she goes right here. If you want to see more of the box opening and some of the explanation on that, go ahead and check out the past video. But this is the DSP that I'm going to be using. You know, we want to step up our game, right? We want to be able to adjust more, and we want to be able to tune more. Right now, the only methods I have of tuning is the 3 bands on the head unit and crossovers, right? That's which you can get a fairly decent setup out of that every day. If you're no super audiophile, you could make that work and have a pretty good sounding system. The system in this truck, I think, sounds pretty damn good, especially at the budget that I'm at. Anyway, so because this vehicle is going to be fairly a test bed for a lot of things, and there's going to be lots of iterations and lots of things that I'm doing, primarily for myself, but also to feed the channel, right? You guys want some good content, and I'm hoping to bring you some good content, not none of this stuff that's filler. I'm not going to be making videos to just make videos. That's not my style. I am a YouTube watcher, and there is a lot of things that some of the YouTubers do that drive me up a goddamn wall. That's not gonna happen, but we're not gonna cross that bridge right now. Let's go over this switch here. So this switch that I picked up, I didn't realize that it was a 4-lead switch, so I do have to, you know, figure out what's up with the 4 leads, how that works. That shouldn't be such a hard deal, but yeah, boy. Anyway, this switch here, I'm going to install in the back. If you've seen one of the videos back, I had to jump the remote wires so that I could turn on the head unit, the amplifier, and the LOC. So the LOC is now going to be going up out of here. This is now going to be the new way that I don't have to do that anymore. I could just go back there, press the button, okay, and voila, we have power going to everything, and when I'm done, I can let it off. It's basically going to be what we call in my industry a bypass, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and look at what we have working here. Now, when I built this amp rack the first time, obviously it wasn't for this amp, it was for the amplifier and that LOC. We're getting rid of that, so I don't know, we're gonna try to make it as pretty as possible, but I think that at some point in time we're gonna have to redo the amp rack, and I'll have to figure that out as I continue to go down the line. I'm not gonna bore you with that stuff. Let's go ahead and let's look at what we're gonna do and go ahead and get started on getting this DSP installed. We'll just go ahead and disconnect all of these. Those don't really matter right now. Theoretically, here, let's do this. Just go ahead and get rid of all of the RCAs for right this moment, so that they're not jamming us up, and so that we're not playing bolts in there. And the reason being is I knew eventually I would be pretty much go ahead and pull these plugs out here, and then so we know what all of those are. We can go ahead and we can pull this out, set this to the side. Measure, and I got me glasses. Let's just see roughly. I think that's going to be about a 1-incher or a 3/4. I think a 3/4 is probably going to work a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and get a 3/4 inch spacer. That way I can put it on the bottom side here. And one thing that's going to do is, with it being up, elevated off of here, it's going to allow me to run my RCAs underneath here. But it's also going to allow some coolant. There is coolant vents on these, and you should always allow for some breathability when you have coolant vents. Now, the amplifier is mounted directly to this board here, but if you guys remember in the video, there's it's skeletonized, right? So there's a big cutout in the center of that so that this thing can actually breathe and get some air going through it. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a trip over to the hardware store. Let's go ahead and get all the rest of these pulled too. All right. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to figure out what's the best way for me to route these wires. So obviously I had to run the RCAs underneath the DSP over to the amplifier, which is fine. I'm cool with that. They're like 1-footers, and that does work. They don't look too, they don't look bad. They don't look all bound up or whatever. But then I have this pigtail for the high levels and the power, remote, and ground, and I'm just trying to see what's the best way for me to route this. So I think what I'm gonna do, and I'll take you off the stand here, I think what I'm gonna do is drill a hole right down in here, and then these wires can go down that way. This is going to be temporary because when I get ready to do everything else, I am going to need more room to mount amplifiers, and as you can see, I don't have room for another 4-channel. I could try to squeeze it there, but then I lose access to my jack. So we'll see what happens as we go there. Anyway, let me go ahead and get you guys put back up on the stand, get the drill, poke a hole, and we can continue to move on forward with that. Let's see if I can check it out. All right, so we got that hole poked out now. I hope you guys can see that. We'll go ahead and get the amp and everything back out of the way because it's really not needed. So give me 1 second to move all of that. All right, so now that we have all of that figured out, now I really can go ahead and start getting these wires through here, getting ready to make all of my connections over here. I do have a few wires here that I need, and that is going to be the ground and power and remote out. So give me unos momentos. All right, much better. We got some light up in here. So let's go ahead firstly get the power through and then feed the rest down. Alright, so that and then now we need to bring the negative over, get that connected. So this does kind of suck that I have to work with this little deal like this, but it will be fine in the long run. Next one is going to be positives. Alright, so what I have here is a switch, and I'm gonna wire this switch up in here to where when I press this button, I connect the remote and the power together just through the DSP so that it can send a signal back to the head unit of power and then also signal over to the amplifier just to give it I have an on-off switch. And then I'm also gonna do this up front also when I get back up there. I got some work to do up there, but for now I'm just gonna try to figure about where I can put this where it's not gonna be in the way and that I can still work it. And I'm almost guessing I can just drill a hole right beside here and I'll be able to utilize this little switch. So let's go ahead and poke one more hole right there. Went on ahead and grabbed a different color one. That's really about it. Now I'm gonna snip these because we're not gonna use the power side of them, but we will use the switch side. So I do have to all right, now what I'm gonna do here is one of these will go to the remote and the other one will go to the power, and then when I push this button here, that would close the contact and allow like a bypass to send power to the remote to make that hot. All right. Alright, now I had to handle all three of those. So all three of those are ready to be. I think I'm going to change this because I don't like how this one is. I'm going to move that to the other side. Unfortunately, sometimes you'll find yourself doing things like that. You won't like how it's done. Take your time, do it right. do it to your liking. There's nothing worse than looking back at it 20 minutes or even a couple of days down the road and determining that you don't like how something looks. So I'm gonna swap that and how does this go? This and this. No. So these two together, and then that one. There we go. That's it. Alrighty. That's much more better. Yeah, I like that much more better. And then now everything's pointed in the right directions. Okay, cool beans. I have to go get the sun, but excuse me. I can just hold that wire. Alright, perfect. So these are the three that have to sound together right now. All right, so we got those three done, which is perfectos. And then now, with those done, that all set, the next step would be for me to connect these wires here. Now these are going to be the audio wires. And the remote, this is the remote, so this is going to be this wire to ACC. Yep, so that one's got to go together. And then these 8 wires, but I do need to go get a sponge so that I can work better at getting these and go get my glasses. So we'll be back once again. All right, y'all. So I didn't want to leave you hanging. I know a lot of people are going to want to know where and how to set the gains on their amplifier. And then also where to set your crossovers, right? So that you're getting a full signal. Your amplifier is set to receiving a full signal because you're going to use your DSP to process the signal, right? So you can change your frequency as you want. So right now, there's supposed to be a lot of rain coming in today or tonight, and well, today, tonight, tomorrow, I guess. Um, all I did on my amplifier was I took my gains and I turned all my gains all the way down. All right. I know I'll have to adjust them later, but I did leave my crossovers exactly where they were, where they have been set. And the reason I did that is so that I can just get this in, get it playing, and then I have a bunch of things going on tomorrow that I have to do, so I am not going to have time to mess around with any of this. So that's why I'm working out here late. I've been doing a bunch of stuff in between installing this bad boy. So I have this all set. My camera died, so I'll walk over and show you guys where we got to with there. I'm not sure exactly where the camera died, but I got all of the soldering and heat shrinking done on the harness that goes into the DSP. And now I just need to reinstall this back and then, you know, install all of the speaker wires and then the power wires here on the end and the remote, and then we should be good there. And then when it comes to the DSP, because I did all of the wiring, that is all, you know, it's all plug and play now, right? So let's go ahead and get this plugged in. All right, so quickly I did go ahead, I did vacuum out the truck and kind of clean up some of the tools and stuff that was in there, but there's not much in here to really see right now, right? You have this pigtail harness that comes from, that goes into the DSP, that has the high level inputs into there, power, remote, ground, and remote out. This is a button that I installed so that I can turn everything on via just kind of bypassing the 12 volt over to the remote in, right? And then over here everything remains the same. This 5 sets of speaker wires and ground and power, right? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start throwing this stuff back in, powering everything up, and fingers crossed everything should be good, and I expect everything to be good. So let's go ahead and I'll set you guys up so you can see that as that's happening, and we'll continue moving forward. Okay, that went in nice and easy. And I do need to make a new or a different adjustment on here, I believe. Maybe not. I might be able to still use that. The reason I'm hesitant on is very shortly I'm going to be really swapping this all around, right? So let's go ahead and get this one in first since it's right there. All right, let's lock down. Let's go ahead and get the remote put in. Okay. And then let's go ahead and get the ground in. Let's go ahead and plug these back in. All right, so there we have it. All of these are good. All right, y'all, welcome back. So I got the DSP in, it's installed. All right, sitting good. I got the RCAs, they run underneath and come out over here, plug into the amplifier. Back here, here's that button that I put in. This is my AKA tuning button. And right now, I just turned it off. The DSP is still blinking. You see the lights just shut off over there. I'll go ahead and turn it back on. All right, you see the DSP came on. Over here, the amplifier is on. Boom, boom, went through its check. And the head unit is on, and that's without a key. I don't really have a key for an ignition, but you know what I'm saying. So anyway, we got that all in. All right, so I got that all in. And now my next step is gonna be just going through, doing a real quick setup, just so I can have some music. As I said, tomorrow the webman said it was gonna rain all day, so, and I have a bunch of things to run around and do. I just came off of my 7-day work cycle, so yeah, I'm not sure if the next video if there'll be a next video or what. Probably we'll just do a whole video just on tuning. So as I said earlier, sorry, the next video will be just on tuning. So as I said earlier, the only thing I did was I turned my gains all the way down so that I can start playing with the gains and stuff with that. But I did leave the crossovers set where they are, and that way I didn't have to worry about setting any crossovers or anything right now. Tomorrow when I get up in the morning and start doing some of the stuff that I got to get done, I can just jump in it and run. All right, I'll have to adjust the gains as I can just to get some level out of it, because I'm not going to get 8 volts, and I think this amp accepts 8 volts max or 6 volts either or. That DSP only puts out 4.2 volts RMS. So yeah, anyway, it's been a long day. I got a lot of stuff done, so not just on the truck. So anyway, I think until next time, peace. We'll be back and we'll do the as I said, we'll do a whole video just on tuning and setting everything up. All right, y'all, peace.